Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Andrew Hutchinson, best of Arkansas sports, going to join us here in this segment, talk about the Hogs. It's LSU and Arkansas from Charles Schwab Field in Omaha tonight, just after 6 o'clock. Two teams bidding for a berth in the college football playoff. Nope, not that. College World Series championship series that starts up on Saturday, and their likely opponent will be the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who are all over Louisville early in that afternoon game over at the Chuck. Let's go to the Gems Firearms Hotline and talk to Andrew Hutchinson, best of Arkansas sports, covers the Razorbacks. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here before the game cranks up. Andrew, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing quite well. How's the Arkansas baseball morale based in contrast from how it was Saturday evening at about 11 o'clock?
I think people are feeling a lot better about where they were. I mean, a couple of wins will do that for you. I mean, throw a no-hitter in Omaha. I mean, you got to be feeling pretty good. And the way the pitching's lined up, you feel like you've got a decent amount of arms, for having to win back-to-back games against LSU. So I think they're feeling, cautiously optimistic. At least the fans are. I mean, the players are obviously very confident.
Let's talk about Gage Wood's no-hitter. I think it would be bearing the lead if we didn't. How surprising was that to watch based on the usage of Wood and how he's kind of been held back towards 5 innings after the injury?
I mean, they've said that they would turn him loose. And, since about, I think, the regular season finale against Tennessee, they were prepared to turn him loose. They really just haven't been able to or needed to. I mean, he's had a couple of, okay starts. I mean, against Tennessee in the Super Regional, he threw, 3 innings. They only gave up, 1 run, but he wasn't super effective. Didn't have any strikeouts in that game, crazy enough. Against Creighton, he had 13 strikeouts in 6 innings, but his pitch count got up, and Arkansas was leading pretty good. There was no need to throw him any more than they did. In Omaha, there's no next week, so they were going to turn him loose. 119 pitches, that's a lot, probably more than I would have expected. But they were like, hey, we're going to let him go. His stuff wasn't diminishing. He was throwing 98 in the 9th inning. So it was really cool to see. I mean, I've seen a no-hitter from a minor league team, the AA team up in Northwest Arkansas, but I've never seen one by the Razorbacks. I mean, it was the first 9-inning individual no-hitter since 96 or something like that. So really, really cool to see.
Yeah, what a moment. We were talking, and one of my colleagues on the station said it was clearly the best pitched game in College World Series history. When you consider the 19 strikeouts, the no-hitter, the elimination game, all of it, it's hard-pressed to find a better one than that, and I would tend to agree with it. What do you think his availability might be the next 2 days? Is that 0, or is that something tomorrow maybe?
I would be shocked if he pitches. I mean, he might try to talk himself onto the mound to get an out or 2 tomorrow. Definitely not today. Okay. To me, I think Wood and Root both are unavailable for the LSU, games. Hopefully you'll be able to bring them back for the championship series if you get there. But I would be pretty surprised if they throw him again against LSU.
How about Gabe Gackle, who was sensational on Saturday?
He's a guy. I actually asked him in the locker room last night if what his availability was. He said, "Hey, I've been trying to tell the coaches I'm ready for these last 2 games." So I think he's available. I mean, probably I would prefer to use him tomorrow if you can get there. Just give him a little extra time because he did throw, I think, 90 pitches on Saturday and was very, very good. But, yeah, I think he's going to be a guy that would pitch tomorrow if you get there.
All right, so we've kind of ruled some guys out. Talk to me about what Dave Van Horn's plan might be tonight as far as a starter, and then how much you got to chop this thing up.
I think they're going to go with Landon Biles-Cheese as the starter. He's got starting experience. He lost his spot in the starting rotation late in the year. His biggest problem, though, this year has been giving up home runs. If you take out the home runs, his ERA, he'd be an All-American. And that's one thing about Charles Schwab Field is it plays big. It's not easy to hit home runs. So maybe that plays into his factor to help. Maybe get 5 innings from him. I think they'd be thrilled with, and then chop it up after that. Cole Gibler's available. Parker Coyle hasn't pitched. Dylan Carter hasn't pitched. So you've got some pretty solid arms. I think ideally, it's not going to be easy against LSU, but ideally you'd like to build yourself a decent lead and give yourself a little bit of a cushion. You don't have to burn one of those top guys, but let's be honest. I think these 2 games are going to be really tight one way or the other. So you're probably going to have to use your best bullets and then, maybe hope you can outslug them tomorrow.
Speaking of that, Arkansas struggled with Cade Anderson as most do and put a 3 spot up, which was enough in the no-hitter, but not eye-popping. They swung the bat better, I thought, last night. Where do you characterize this Arkansas offense right now in Omaha? I
think it's teetering right on the edge of being back to where it was, during most of the regular season, where they were the best offense in the SEC. Obviously, Cade Anderson, I think you can just chop that up to facing arguably the best pitcher in college baseball. He was incredible, and they just didn't do anything against them. Murray State was a little bit more concerning, but the thing was they just couldn't get the timely hit. They got runners on base. They just couldn't move them over. They started doing that a little bit more of that against UCLA, and I think that they're due. If you just think of it from a laws of averages thing, they've been pretty good with runners in scoring position throughout the year. Not super great these first 3 games, so maybe they can bust through and then scratch a few more across today.
Yesterday was a little bit wild for me trying to do laundry and dealing with some work stuff over here. I didn't catch every pitch of the Arkansas-UCLA game. Is 3 errors? What were those bad errors? Where did that come from? Well, this is one of the best defensive teams in the country.
2 of them were in the 9th inning when they were already up 7-0, and one of them was by the pitcher. And he just threw wild to first. The other 2 are by the third baseman, who's been really solid throughout the year. Brent Iredale, been I would say above average defender over there. He just sailed one over the first baseman's head. That one immediately did not hurt them at all because luckily Cam Kozel, second baseman, backed up the play, and they were able to throw behind the runner who fell as he. The 3 runs I don't think would have happened if they didn't make 2 errors in the 9th inning. But I just think that was a matter of they got a little away from them, with the game pretty much in hand, and I'm not too terribly concerned about it.
Yeah, at that point I had stopped watching the game, so that makes sense that I missed some of that. Interesting. All right, well, Andrew, we appreciate a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. We'll see you out at the ballpark. Enjoy the baseball tonight, all right?
Looking forward to it.
Andrew Hutchinson, best of Arkansas Sport, always good enough to give us a little bit of time talking about the Hogs. I wrote this on my preview in LouisianaSports.net about this Arkansas team. The offense, if you just zoom out and you go, well, they scored 1 run against LSU on Saturday and 3 runs against Murray State, that's terrible. If you want to look a little bit more closely, Cade Anderson just shut them down. So did Evans and Shores on Saturday. That's great pitching. And then they got 10 hits on Monday against Murray State and left 9 guys on base. they didn't just go into the deep freeze against Murray State. They got some guys on base. They just couldn't get a second or a third hit in the inning, which is, of course, what you've got to do to play winning baseball. But I think if I was an Arkansas fan, which I'm very much not, I think I would be more concerned if they just got 4 hits and hit a home run, and that was how they got the 3 runs. And then last night against UCLA, and keep in mind, we know this from we watched them. UCLA was out of arms, flat out of arms. They were throwing multiple guys for the second time in one day because they were letting everybody go 17 pitches, and Arkansas finally just piled on in the late innings. It was 2-0, it was 2-0, it was 2-0, it was 3-0, and then Arkansas broke the dam and it was 7-0. And they were just out of pitching. So maybe that was what got Arkansas going a little bit. But I tend to think they've swung it better than that start would indicate. I still fear that lineup a significant amount. I think that Davalon is awesome. I think that Vahiva Aloy is awesome. I think Logan Maxwell is awesome. I think Cam Kojal is really good. They're a tough lineup to deal with. I don't necessarily buy into the idea that they've gone in the deep freeze offensively. I've seen that to happen to teams in Omaha. LSU could not hit at all in 2013, and that was a different time with the bad bats and the bad balls and the fence, and that was a terrible year to hit for everybody. UCLA won it without even getting any hits. But then I saw Oregon State in 2017 just completely quit hitting, and it can happen. I don't think that has happened to Arkansas just yet, but hey, if they want to throw 6 innings of awful offense at us today, I'll just be thrilled. I just don't know that that's going to happen. My contention with this game and with LSU in this game to win it, I think LSU is going to have to score 7 or 8 runs to win this game. I don't think I can fully trust Zach Cowan, Jaden Newt, Jacob Myers, Maverick Rizzi, and DJ Primo to go out there against Arkansas and hold them to 2. That doesn't sound – 4-2 doesn't sound reasonable to me, even in that ballpark. This feels like if LSU is going to win the game, it needs to be 8-6. And I think LSU is very capable of doing that. But I'm not going to be completely disheartened if Arkansas scores a couple of early runs. I just don't think 3-2 is happening tonight. Not with Anderson out and Ianson out and Evans out and Root out and Wood out and Gackle out. With those guys not pitching early in this game, there's going to be some hard hit contact. Now, sometimes you hit balls really hard right at people and you don't come up with a lot of runs to show for it. But I think tonight there are going to be some more runs scored. That's just my hunch on this game. We'll see. Very excited for our next conversation. Paul Gervase, former LSU Tiger, minor leaguer, was here watching the Tigers, now back with his team, and he watches a lot of games, and I think that's interesting for a guy without any ties to South. Decided to come pitch at LSU. So we'll talk to Paul Gervase when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Ameristar Council Bluffs, Iowa, just outside the ESPN Sportsbook. LSU and Arkansas tonight at 6 o'clock from Omaha, Nebraska. Not the only baseball game being played in Omaha, Nebraska tonight. Over the Omaha Storm Chasers going to be taking on the Durham Bulls in that game over across town. And in that ball game will be Trey Morgan, former Tiger, and Paul Gervase, another former Tiger. Those guys, just a stroke of good fortune. They're in town playing a 5-game set this weekend. We're able to come over to Chuck Schwab Park and see their alma mater play a little bit. Paul's good enough to give us a little bit of time here on the Gems Firearms Hotline. Paul Gervase, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing awesome. Just a stroke of good fortune. You're there with the Durham Bulls in AAA and the Rays organization. You got a trip to Omaha, and then LSU shows up. How much were you able to get away and see your old coach Jay Johnson and the Tigers?
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. Our flight, me and Trey circled it like 2 weeks ago. We started watching regionals, and we knew we were going to Omaha in a couple of weeks. We were like, well, how's this going to line up? And it ended up lining up perfectly. Our flight got in like 30 minutes before the game, and we just Ubered over to the field, and we got to go talk to Jay for a little bit before the game, and he was locked in. I didn't want to take too much of his time, so I was just like, hey, good luck. We'll talk to you later, and got to go up and sit up top and watch 3 innings, so that was good. It was a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, did Jay know you were coming, or was it a surprise to him?
No, he was surprised. He was like, oh, my God. Like, he's usually, like, really locked in before the games, and he was, like kind of taken aback. And then once he saw us and, like, said hello, it was like, all right, he's locking back in. I'm not gonna bother this guy right now.
Yeah, he tends to lock in. I think you're more aware than that than most. I'm curious, you're a kid from North Carolina who got a phone call from a new coach at LSU, said, hey, we need pitching depth. Can you come see us? And you ended up spending 1 year in Baton Rouge before you were a 12th-round draft choice of the New York Mets. I'm curious kind of how you have become an LSU fan. You've texted me a couple times watching games, and I know that you're all locked in now.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. Like, so growing up, my mom went to Carolina, so North Carolina, so we were big Tar Heel fans growing up, and I always wanted to go to a school like that where I could cheer for my team in every sport, and then obviously to get to play baseball at LSU was like a dream come true. So once I went there and experienced my year there and met my girlfriend there, and I go back all the time in the off season, so I kind of fell in love with LSU, and I love cheering for them in every sport, but especially baseball.
Paul Gervase is our guest, former Tiger of the 2022 season, now in AAA with the Tampa Bay Rays organization, actually teammates with Trey Morgan with the Durham Bulls. You ever go back to a football game?
Yeah, I try to go every year. I went to 2 last year. I went to 1 the year before that. I try to come down as much as I can. You know, we have Andrew Stevenson's on our team too, by the way.
I did not know that. I didn't see pictures of Andrew and didn't think to look that up. That's awesome. Last time I talked to Andrew was back last year. I think he was headed to Japan to play. So how's he doing?
That's right. He's awesome, dude. He's banging. He's a great guy. I played with Josh, his younger brother, when we were at LSU, but I had never met him before, but he's a great guy. Really personable. He's a great player. He's swinging the bat really well for us right now.
Well, I know that the Trey's had an awesome go of it, and you're throwing the heck out of the ball right now. I'm looking at your statistics with Durham this year, and you got 48 strikeouts in 32 innings. Just tell us about kind of your progression through the minor leagues over the course of the last 2 years, and now they're in AAA one step away.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a really fun year. It's good to obviously play at home in Durham because I'm from the area. And, the last couple of years have been pretty crazy from getting drafted, and then last year being in AA and getting traded from the Mets to the Rays at the trade deadline. And honestly, kind of the Rays helped my career kind of take off. I found the strike zone again and just started kind of dominating hitters and just getting here. And now it's learning a lot about guys' approaches and the professionalism that they have at this level. And I'd like to think I'm having a pretty good year, but there's always ways to go up.
No doubt. I'm curious, you have a great perspective on this. There's a lot of talk about minor league baseball versus college game and what's better for development and what's a more enjoyable lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. How would you compare the baseball side of being at LSU with being in a professional organization, from the coaching to the resources to the pitching lab to all that kind of stuff, as compared to what you have in professional baseball now?
I would say LSU is probably more comparable as far as getting taken care of to the major leagues. They take care of you at LSU from that perspective. Is the level of care and the facilities and all that stuff is like the major leagues. It's literally, I was like taken aback. I was at junior college for 2 years before I came, and I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. But yeah, so the minor leagues, I wouldn't say they take care of you the most, but minor leagues is all development. So they are 100% worried about you getting better, and winning comes with that, but it's development first. Well, college is all about winning. So I think there are ways to develop in both ways, but I'd say it's a very different game.
It's always going to be an interesting topic, and now with NIL, there's the financial aspect of it changes a little bit as well, depending on who you are and where you're headed. So I'm just curious to kind of hear your thoughts. Well, Paul, give me your thoughts on the LSU team. You got a chance to watch them for a couple innings. I know you've been watching from afar. Do you think this team's got what it takes to win 3 more baseball games?
Yeah, they do, dude. They got a really good team that can really pitch it this year, dude. That is something that has been a really pleasant thing to see. With most LSU teams that I've watched, they break up and down the lineup, and this team hits the ball really well too. But I think this is the best pitching staff they've had since Coach Johnson's been there, and it's really fun to watch on a nightly basis. And I wish I could watch tonight, but I cannot, obviously. But it's so cool.
You'd be a little bit preoccupied.
Yeah,
it's been awesome. Last thing here, and appreciate a little bit of time. I know it's a game day for y'all, and you got to get on the buses and head to the field. But when you signed on at LSU, Jay Johnson had just arrived in Baton Rouge. I'm curious if you could have forecasted, based on what you saw then, that LSU would make it to the Final Four of the College World Series in 2 of the next 3 years.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody love baseball and care about baseball and put more time into baseball than he does. I mean, this is his entire life. Is LSU baseball. He said it. I mean, you guys have heard him say he'd rather be the coach at LSU than the Yankees. And I really believe it because I've never seen a guy that's that passionate and works that hard at something. And obviously you see the results. So anybody that ever questions his work ethic or his decision, I promise he's thought of it 100 times over what to do. So I would say, yes, I absolutely could have seen it.
That's awesome to hear, Paul. Congratulations on all the success. I have a feeling that we're going to see you and Trey and Andrew up in Tampa really, really quickly. Keep up the great work, and thanks for a little bit of time.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's Paul Gervase, former LSU right-hander. He and Eric Reiselman, they were – without those two guys, that 2022 season would not have gone very well. And Jay Johnson hit the ground and goes, we got to find some pitching, and he found those two guys. And he found really talented dudes because they've navigated their way through the minor leagues very, very quickly. And Paul still, as he mentioned, loves pulling for LSU, even though he only spent like 11 months in Baton Rouge. He loves to watch the football games, loves to watch the Tigers play baseball, and just a great stroke of luck for those two guys, for those three guys, for Trey and Paul and Andrew Stevenson, to have their AAA schedule ship them over to Omaha right when the Tigers were playing in the College World Series. And I didn't realize this. The AAA teams, based on what Durham's schedule told me today when I looked up where Paul was, they play Tuesday through Saturday against one team. Just play 5 straight games, and then they go home. And I think that's an interesting deal, and so they're here for the whole week. But unfortunately, they play every night at 7 o'clock, so they can't come out and watch any of the Tigers. But Trey and Paul were able to come out on Saturday, watch the 3 innings of the game, and then head back to the hotel. So very, very cool, and we appreciate Paul for giving us a little bit of time here. He's, as I mentioned, having a great year in AAA, and those relievers are like ping pong balls. Like, generally speaking, the shortstop doesn't come down very often unless somebody gets hurt. But if you're talking about pitching, there's always a pitcher that's going on the IL, always a pitcher who's not been very effective and gets DFA'd. And if you're looking for a guy in the Rays organization that could immediately get pulled up and pitch in the big leagues, Paul is that guy, I think, for Durham right now in the Tampa Bay organization. So we're wishing him all the best. And very cool, the 3 former Tigers are on one team. One of the most famous minor league teams, maybe the most famous minor league team in the Durham Bulls. I would put them in the conversation probably with the Birmingham Barons because Michael Jordan played there. But when you got a movie made about your minor league team, that's a pretty famous team to be a part of. So shout out to Paul Gervase. Appreciate a little bit of his time here on this Wednesday. Man, we're chugging along, getting closer to first pitch between LSU and Arkansas. I've got some more thoughts on that game, plus an update on the afternoon game. We'll get you all that when we come back on this Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Look, every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. So if you want to start your shopping experience online, just kind of give a look to what the inventory might look like. They've got it all there. And then when you determine what it is that you'd like to take a look at, you don't even have to set foot on the dealership lot to make that happen. You just reach out, have one of their brand ambassadors come to you. You get behind the wheel, whether it's at work or at home, a remote test drive, and you can do e-contracts and digital delivery if you just never want to set foot at the dealership. But I would recommend going by because you can get a real look at that fantastic line of vehicles. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. And it's a phenomenal group of people to work with. It's a phenomenal facility. And you're going to be impressed every single step of the way with Genesis of Baton Rouge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle in Baton Rouge, you're probably on Airline Highway. Why not make one more stop at Genesis of Baton Rouge? Check them out online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. That's GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, always brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Invite you to check out the website, builtbyrenaissance.com. That's builtbyrenaissance.com. Contact Joey Blanchard directly via cell phone, 225-252-7745. Again, that's in the 225 area code, 252-7745. You're looking for the pool of your dreams. Joey Blanchard's done it for dozens and dozens and dozens of people in the Baton Rouge area. He can do it for you. And the best part is you're going to work with him from start to finish on the process. He's the owner of the company. And look, he's going to be with you when you do the design. He's got this software that'll set you up beautifully to give you every single detail to scale on the screen before a shovel ever hits the ground. And look, when the equipment comes out there and somebody might be taking a lunch break from digging, Joey might jump on there and help start digging your pool. He's involved that closely in every single bit of the process. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools for your pool, your outdoor kitchen, all of that. Check out my friends at Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right, Coastal just continues to pitch it and pitch it and pitch it. They jumped out 6-0 in this game in the second inning, and it is 6-0 now in the fourth inning. Louisville batting with 1 on and 2 out. Cardinals have not solved Riley Eichhoff, big right-hander, and if Coastal can get a little bit more length out of him, go to a couple of bullpen arms to slam the door, you're talking about having Jacob Morrison ready to roll for the first game of the championship series on Saturday, and that's exactly what Coastal was looking to get to here. So they have been awesome. They have won 24 games in a row. They have handled their business here in Omaha. They took care of Arizona rather easily in the first game, and then Morrison dominated Oregon State in that second game, and now they're handling Louisville with ease here. So I wouldn't suggest that it's been the most arduous road I've ever seen through the College World Series, but the level of dominance that Coastal has shown, it means something. Like, they're good, and they are handling Louisville right now in the fourth inning. So looks like the winner of LSU and Arkansas will get Coastal Carolina. Well, if it's LSU tonight, if it's Arkansas over the next 2 days, we'll get Coastal Carolina starting on Saturday in the College World Series, unless Louisville can really put some work in. All right, let's talk about LSU pitching, okay? In my opinion, Cade Anderson is down today because you don't have to win. If this was the last game of the season, Anderson could definitely help on 3 days rest. It's not, and you want to have him ideally for Saturday, but if you need to throw him Thursday like LSU did with Paul Skeens 2 years ago in that Skeens ladder game, you have him tomorrow on 4 days rest, which is a full professional rest. He's not a professional right now, but I have no doubt after 100 pitches back on Saturday that Cade Anderson on a Thursday could give you 105, 110 pitches in another outing. So you save that for when you absolutely need it. Kason Evans obviously is unavailable. He started the restart yesterday and went deep enough to where you're not going to go to him in this game. I think that's basically all the guys who are down, Anderson and Evans. The question that I've been asked a lot is about Ianson. I think Anthony Ianson fits into this game in one little pigeonhole. That pigeonhole is LSU is leading close late. I think if LSU trails close late, I think if LSU is tied close late, I think if LSU leads by 5 or more late, Ianson doesn't fit those cubbies. But if you got a 1 or 2 run lead with 4 or 5 outs to go, I think Ianson will be available. He threw 44 pitches on Monday night, and I think that with Tuesday off, that you could get him back for a little bit tonight if you felt like you had to choke off the series. But LSU doesn't have to do that in this game because they're not playing for their season. So we'll see. That's my opinion, that Ianson in a close game late that LSU is leading could be available. Chase Shores is a guy that I've gotten questions about. 10 pitches Saturday, 11 pitches Tuesday. He's fine. He's got 3 outs in him. He's got 5 outs in him today. I have very little doubt there. Everybody else is good to go. So you're looking to put them into categories here. I think that Zach Cowan and Jaden Newt are the 2 guys who, if you had to have somebody do the Ackenhausen, Griffin, Herring 4-inning thing, that's got to be them, I think. I don't think you're going to see Jacob Myers or Maverick Rizzi do that, my opinion. Clearly they're physically capable, but if somebody's going to grab this thing by the horns and go 4 shutout or 4 one-run innings, I think that likely is Newt or Cowan. Now, we know what the most recent month has been like for Zach Cowan. 2 outings where he got dinged up in College Station, came back home and pitched great in 3 innings against Arkansas. Then you hit the road and he was bad in Columbia, South Carolina in 2 different starts, in 2 different outings, and then he started the game in the regional against Little Rock, and it did not go well. So that's the recent history. The more distant history is incredibly encouraging when it comes to Zach Cowan. And you feel like that's a guy that throws a lot of strikes, gets a lot of ground balls, should be a great fit for Charles Schwab Field. But it hadn't been great in 4 of the last 5 outings. So that's a guy you got to look at. Jaden Newt was brilliant in the SEC tournament against Ole Miss. 7 strikeouts. Only gave up the 1 run, the Furnace homer. Is he ready to regain that, or is it the guy that we saw in the regional that wasn't very good? Impossible to know. But those 2 guys are the most likely candidates for a 4-inning outing. If you just condense those down to 6 to 9 outs, then you've got to get some other guys in there to chop it up. I think that DJ Primo and Cooper Williams' role in this game is very likely a tough left-hander. Now, Davalon doesn't really count because he hits left-handers better than right-handers, but Logan Maxwell, Reese Robinette are guys that will be in the lineup for Arkansas tonight that do hit left-handed. I think Primo and Williams could be a candidate for just one guy here because you got second and third and 2 out, or you got first and second and 1 out, and you need to get the left-hander to make a pitch. Primo and Williams kind of fit that. Myers and Rizzi are my next kind of bucket of arms, and I think those 2 guys are likely 1 inning, max effort, go get it in the 5th, 6th, or 7th. That's where I see for Jacob Myers and Maverick Rizzi. And then I think that Shores and Ianson are here to close out a win. If you get to the point after using Newt and Cowan and Rizzi and Primo and maybe you use Cooper Williams, Myers, Rizzi, and you've gotten to the 8th, that's where, with a lead, you're going to see Shores and Ianson. And so I just gave you a list of Cowan, Newt, Primo, Williams, Myers, Rizzi, Ianson. 7 guys. You got 9 innings to work with. You need somebody to get you 2, 3, and hopefully 4 would be great. But after that, you got to have a lot of guys on their game. And as I go through that list, that's a lot of talented guys who have in their time thrown the ball great. If I get the Zach Cowan from February, March, April, awesome. If I get the Jaden Newt from Hoover and a couple of those midweek starts where he really threw the ball well and gave you 4 innings, awesome. If I get the Jacob Myers, who dominated Ole Miss in the SEC tournament, awesome. If I get the Maverick Rizzi from the regional opener on Friday after Ianson pitched, he looked sensational there. If I can get Cooper Williams, that's really been around for the last 3 weeks, LSU's in great shape. But by the same token, if I get the Cowan from Columbia, South Carolina, that's trouble. If I get the Jaden Newt from the regional, that's trouble. If I get the Jacob Myers, who walked everybody in sight in the regional, not very good. If I get the Maverick Rizzi, who struggled with the strike zone in the regional, not very good. So they're just Jekyll and Hyde, and that's why they're in this position. But we have talked about this March, April, May. You can't get through the College World Series without some guys stepping up. And LSU has managed to put itself in the best position that the Tigers have been in since 2009. That was 16 years ago. By using Cade Anderson, Chase Shores, Kason Evans, and Anthony Ianson. Those are your trusted arms. That's the 4. The rest of the guys have got to do it now. You got to. It's time. Because if they don't do it tonight and you rely on Anderson to go nuts on Thursday, which could happen, you're probably going to need those guys either Saturday, Sunday, or very much on Monday. But you got to have them at some point. So to me, here's a great time. You're facing Arkansas in this game with no Zach Root and no Gage Wood and no Gabe Gackle and no Aiden Jimenez. So it's time for these guys who are very, very talented, would probably be Coastal Carolina's top reliever. But they're a tick down from the elite guys on the Arkansas and LSU headliner. That's what the battle is from. And again, to put a bow on this conversation from a pitching perspective, you just got to turn it around and go, hey, you know what helps pitchers? When the offense scores 8. And I know that's such an obvious thing to say, you want to win the game? Score a bunch of runs. That seems pretty obvious, but it's true. You can't expect tonight to win 4-1 like you did on Saturday. You cannot expect Zach Cowan and DJ Primo and Jacob Myers and Maverick Rizzi to do to this lineup what Cade Anderson, Kason Evans, and Chase Shores did. It's not realistic. I didn't say it was impossible. It's not realistic. So hit the ball. You did it against UCLA in both sides of that game. Monday night, Tuesday morning, you did it. You got to continue where you picked up and go. I talked about this on Twitter earlier today, but I wanted to refresh memories. LSU will be the home team tonight. That is confirmed. I believe this to be the case. I'm 94% sure this is the case. If it's not the case, I will write it tonight and I will say it again on the air tomorrow, because I will be doing my show here tomorrow, weather permitting. If we get another rain delay that pushes us into a morning game, I won't. But assuming that the schedule holds and LSU plays tonight, the only way you play tomorrow is if you lose and you play again tomorrow night. I'll be here doing my show, and if I'm wrong on this, I will correct myself tomorrow for tomorrow. But for tonight, I know I'm right. LSU is the home team for sure. I believe that is because LSU was the visitor against Arkansas and the home team against UCLA. So they've been home 1 out of 2. Arkansas was home against LSU, visitor in the second game they played, the no-hitter game against Murray, and a home team yesterday against UCLA. So they've been home 2 out of 3. That's a better percentage than LSU, who's 1 out of 2. So LSU's the home team. But those numbers flip when Arkansas goes to 2 out of 4 and LSU goes to 2 out of 3 tomorrow. So what you need to know from all those numbers I just threw at you, LSU's home tonight. If we get a game tomorrow, Arkansas will be the home team. That's how Tommy White was able to walk off the number 1 seed in the tournament 2 years ago, because LSU was the home team based on that exact rule. So Tigers will be in the field first. Got to try to get 3 quick outs, then go over there and put some pressure on this Arkansas team with your offense right out of the chute. We still don't have starting pitchers, and I don't anticipate we're going to have them in the next 15 minutes. But we'll find out when we get across the street over at Charles Schwab Field, and we'll be reacting to it on tomorrow's show. I'll have a story up post-game at LouisianaSports.net and something there tomorrow based on what happens tonight. But I've got a full preview of the game, including my thoughts on the 2 pitching matchups, already there for free on LouisianaSports.net. And I can't thank y'all enough for supporting the website, for going to take in that content as I've been up here in Omaha. It's been amazing to see the numbers that we're doing. It's the first really, really good team that we've had since we launched the website. The Saints, not great last year. LSU football, not great last year. LSU basketball, not great. And so this is the first time we've had a really good team, and we appreciate y'all's support over at LouisianaSports.net. I have pregame up right now. I'll have postgame after the game goes final. We got one more break to get to. We'll come back and wrap things up. Shout out to our sponsors making this trip possible. Of course, that's Our Lady of the Lake, GoFlow V-Spa, and Yingling Flight. We'll do Take It or Leave It coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Field currently. The most important thing is that Coastal is winning 6-0 over Louisville, and they are inching closer to a berth in the title series. Second most important thing is that it is very lightly raining over there right now. Not even enough that people are scurrying in the bleachers. There is a very, very light amount of precipitation falling. I just looked at the radar. I'm just like you. I look at the Weather Channel app on my phone, and I don't really know what I'm looking at, but I can look at what's green and what's not green. It looks like we're okay, but I can't promise you anything. It looks like the night game is okay. Again, it is raining a little bit over there right now, but it looks like we're okay for the night game. The third thing is that Louisville's players are screaming at each other in the dugout, which doesn't appear to me to be the best recipe for a comeback. I don't know what they're screaming about. I don't have any sound available to me, but I do know that their shortstop and catcher are screaming at each other, and I don't know why. And it's not like pleasantries. Like, they're actively upset. So that's exciting stuff for the Louisville team. I think their season is just about over. Coastal leads 6-0 in the top of the 5th. 2 outs for Louisville. All right, back. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take
Shout out to Flight by Yuengling. Got a couple right here in front of me. The next generation of light beer. It is summertime in Louisiana. It's hot. You want a cool, crisp, refreshing beer, whether you're at the pool, at the lake, at the grill, on the golf course, tailgating, whatever the case may be. Flight by Yuengling. It is phenomenal. You look at the stats on these bad boys. You're talking about just 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. Back.
All righty, first one here. You will have at least 2 Coke Zeros tonight. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think there's no doubt about that. I'll take it. I'm going to have a couple of zeros. They got a big fridge full. The question is, what else massively unhealthy can I eat while I'm here? That's been the case just about every meal. So we've had baked ziti and then Italian beef sandwiches the 2 times I've been there. Nothing for the restart because they didn't plan on having a 10 o'clock game, but who knows what the option will be tonight. It'll probably be very, very caloric, probably not very good for me. And when I get home, we're going to have to make some changes because this has just been basically a disaster for 5 days straight, and I don't see any end in sight.
I'm guessing the scales are going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little bit higher on the number wise for you after this.
Significantly, I think I'll probably gain 5 or 8 pounds. I don't think there's any doubt about it, and we're going to have a July where we drop 20. It's just got to happen.
That's going to be tough because then you're going to be starting off July with July the 4th, and that usually involves things.
I did it right after the 4th last year. It's probably going to have to be something similar to that this time around.
Definitely going to need maybe a few more miles on the runs. That'll help a little bit.
My youngest child now sleeps long enough that I can go run and not feel like I'm abandoning my wife for a run in the morning where he might get up screaming. I think we're past that, so I think we'll be able to get that done.
All right, last one here. LeBron James was talking. Let's see, who was he talking with? I don't know where this was, but anyways, he was talking about the discourse around ring culture in the NBA, saying a ring is a team accomplishment and pushing back on the idea that a player's individual greatness is measured by how many championships he wins. Of course, many like to talk about LeBron's a number of rings and also how he got those and, surrounding himself with superstars in order to win those. But you agree with LeBron. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think that we're talking about sports here. We're not talking about a person's worth, and I think that you don't need to define a person by how they do in terms of in the arena. But when we're talking about sports, like it's okay to talk about how many games you won, and how many games you lost, how many championships you won. That's kind of the point of playing the sport. I think that it's just fine. I don't think we need to be ranking guys by money or points. I think the championship's the most important thing, and I think we ought to hold people to that standard. I understand it takes more than one guy to do it, and I don't think that it's Charles Barkley's fault he never won a ring or Dan Marino's fault he never won a ring. But I think it's okay that we talk about it because guys like Dirk and even Dwayne Wade before Shaq got there, they got it done. Dwayne was with Shaq. It was before LeBron and Bosh got there. I think it's okay to talk about championships. I think that's fair game in my estimation. That it, Beck?
That's it.
Are we going to win tonight?
Yes. We're going to win.
I like to hear that.
The offense keeps rolling, huh? That's what I think.
I need the offense to roll. I'm okay staying here for a few more days. I'm not really fired up about waking up tomorrow with the season on the line.
Yeah, let's not do
That's
that.
An uncomfortable feeling. I know Hog fans have been doing it for 2 days, and I'm not really in the mood. So I'd rather just keep winning and go play Coastal Carolina on Saturday after my big steak dinner, which also is not going to be super healthy on Friday night. That's what I'm kind of looking for. So let's see if we can get into that. First pitch just after 6 o'clock from Charles Schwab Field. I'll have a post-game story up at LouisianaSports.net. And unless weather impacts tonight, LSU will either not play tomorrow or play tomorrow at 6, and I'll be right here at the Ameristar in Council Bluffs. Appreciate Andrew Hutchinson, Best of Arkansas Sports, Koki Riley, Paul Gervase for jumping aboard. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. I'm headed to the ballpark. Tigers and Hogs tonight. Come on, Tigers.
The Hunt Palmer Show.